On the rundown for today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Eagles cut candidates, players that the Eagles can cut free in order to free up money for 2024 NFL free agency so that Howie Roseman can improve this roster. You first take a look at the Eagles cap situation going into the offseason. Currently, right now, without any contract restructures, Philadelphia is equipped with $20.8 million in salary cap space. That ranks the Birds 18th among 32 teams in the National Football League. And going into 2024, the projected cap for all teams in the NFL continues to skyrocket and increase, checking in at $240 million. Now let's segue to our Eagles cut candidates, and I want to begin with Kevin Byard at that safety position, the trade deadline acquisition for Philadelphia, who played solid ball but didn't blow anybody away in the back half of the season, had some good moments like him locking up Travis Kelce in primetime as the Eagles exacted revenge against the Super Bowl 57 and Super Bowl 58 champions. Eagles trading away a 4th-round pick and a 5th-round pick in exchange for Byard, and in addition to those draft picks, they also traded away Terrell Edmunds to Tennessee. And in cutting Kevin Byard, Philadelphia could free up $13.5 million in cap space. That seems like a no-brainer move for Philadelphia because he's a declining player who's a little bit older. Now, I'm not ruling out Byard returning to the team in 2024. I think in a better defensive system, Vic Fangio would be able to elevate him, so a restructured contract extension could make sense, but you can't have him on the books for a $14 million cap hit. And I was a fan of the Byard move at the time because you needed to bulk up the safety position. I like Reed Blankenship as a young emerging player. It was unfortunate that he was banged up a lot throughout 2023, so we didn't get to see the fullest extent of what Blankenship could bring to the table. And I think that a Blankenship-Byard safety tandem serves you pretty well. And he did play okay, but for me, my preference is to get younger and better at that safety position. What's interesting is that how horrible the Eagles' defense was made everybody look bad, from the defensive line where the sack numbers went down and the pressure rate just plummeted, to the linebacking position, which was bad in general, the secondary, which was really spotty, and then the safeties were put at a disadvantageous position to succeed. And Byard's Pro Football Focus numbers were actually pretty good. An overall grade of 74, run defense grade of 82. That's what I like about the player, is that he's very versatile. Not really a guy who you're going to send home on the blitz, but a coverage grade of 70.3. Is he the 2-time All-Pro player that he was a few years ago with Tennessee? No. The passer rating not good when targeted of 106.4, but everybody on the offensive side going up against this Eagles defense was running free, and the defense and the scheme was such a mess where it's hard to gauge who played well, who didn't, who's washed, and who still has something left. But regardless of how well Byard played, and if you want him back, he cannot come back to the Eagles in 2024 with the $14 million cap hit. And if you do let him go, $13.5 million is pretty appealing for a player that you can use that money on, like Antoine Winfield, who's going to be in that same neighborhood, who's younger. Or, as I've said here on the show, I want to see that swagger come back to this Eagles defense. I want some ball skills there. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I'd say yes. Come on back home to Philadelphia if you can repair that relationship. Now, before we continue to keep it moving here for our Eagles Cut Candidate segment, this is Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr., and we are your go-to home for the best Eagles coverage every day, year-round. We grind here at Chat Sports to provide you with the best Eagles content, so lock us in and subscribe. We're closing in on 72,000 subscribers. Cut candidate number 2 is Avonte Maddox as we continue to stick on the defensive side of the football. And for Maddox, he's 27 years old, so by no means is he old, and he's been a solid nickel. But he's been a solid nickel corner when he's been healthy, and that is a rarity for him over the last couple of years. If you cut Avonte Maddox, that frees up about $7 million if it comes after June 1. So a post-June 1 designation, you free up $7 million. The Eagles, if they do it pre-June 1st, save about $2 million. So a couple of options at their disposal, but that $5 million gap, obviously pretty appealing for the Eagles. And this is the reality with Avonte Maddox, right? You hit on him in the draft coming out of Pitt. He's been a productive player. He helped you win the Super Bowl, but the secondary needs a makeover, and I need to be able to count on you. And with Avonte Maddox, I can't count on him for the price tag that the Eagles are paying him. Last 4 years, he's missed a lot of time. He played 10 games in 2020, 16 games in 2021, 9 games in 2022, and only 4 games in 2023. So in 3 of the last 4 years, that is significant time missed for a player that you're paying premium dollars to, who's been solid and a good fixture on this Eagles defense when he's playing, but playing has been rare and few and far between. Today's Eagles Now is sponsored by Game Time, and if you didn't get your Valentine anything for Valentine's Day, how about you get him or her some tickets thanks to Game Time? $20 off if you use the code EaglesChat. This is the only app that I use when it comes down to buying tickets to games, but I also love music. I also love comedy shows. I also love the Blue Man Group, theatrical events. You can use the Game Time app for anything and everything. Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. But for those of you who are Eagles fans, those of you who are Philadelphia fans, you can get some Sixers tickets. You can get yourselves some Flyers tickets. At the Wells Fargo Center, you can find tickets for a very low price. And if you don't know what you're doing because you're grinding and hustling like me and producer Chip, what's cool about the Game Time app is that if you wait or if you're too busy to make a decision early in the process, lowest price at the last possible moment, guaranteed. Use the code EaglesChat. You get $20 off your purchase, and you get that $20 off by downloading the app for free for first-time users. We'll put that information available for you down in the comments section as well as in the show notes of this video. What is the consistent theme with our Eagles cut candidates list? A lot of these players are highly paid, and they're on the defensive side of the football, which was the biggest downfall for this football team in 2023. James Bradberry, a lot of complexities with the player here. Eagles gave him $20 million in full guarantees last offseason in free agency. Post-June 1, that's $4.7 million in dead money if you do cut him after June 1 in 2024. And then it goes all the way up, the dead money does, to $12.5 million in 2025. So combined there, $12.5 million plus $4.7 million, that's about $17+ million in money that you have to eat if you cut James Bradberry. He allowed 2.9 more yards per target and 2.5 more yards per catch in 2023 than he did a year ago. Now, with Howie Roseman, we've seen this time and time again. He is a financial guru. If you were to invest in stocks and you relate that to football and you wanted somebody to manage your money and help you with your funds, you would reach out to Howie Roseman because he's a genius with pulling off these financial gymnastics. They could be hard to pull off, but Howie Roseman has found ways to do that. But with the construct of Bradberry's contract, it's difficult to do that. So I think the reality here is that Bradberry might have to come back just because of the money that you have to eat. And Philadelphia might be banking on Bradberry making improvements by leaps and bounds in 2024 compared to last year. And what's crazy about the trajectory of Bradberry's career, look at the defensive Pro Football Focus grades year over year. He literally has had one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. So recently, let's just look at what he's done 2020 on, right, with the New York Giants. 2020, the Giants gave him a bag. That first year, he was good. He had a grade of 79.8. Following year, he stunk, 62.8. First year in Philly, one of the top corners in the game, 74.1 the grade there. And then this past year, he was terrible. He was atrocious. He was garbage. Garbage, as some people like to say. The grade went down to 56.6. So, given how his career has gone up to this point, are you banking on Bradberry having a rebound season in 2024? If you follow his career, the arrow could be pointing up, and then you don't have to worry about eating all that money. With Darius Slay here, this becomes a pretty interesting conversation. I would not cut James Bradberry. I think he's a pretty valuable player for this club. His cap hit in 2024 is the 7th highest on this roster. It bumps up to the 6th highest. If Jason Kelce does retire, it does check in at $10.9 million, but the dead cap charge is $35 million. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So he's under contract for the next couple of years, and at that point, he becomes a pretty old player in his NFL career. Currently 35 years old. For me, I would keep Darius Slay. I still think he has big play Slay type of ability. I think he played solid football in 2023. He's a team captain. He's a leader. And the dead cap charge is simply too lofty. And for Bradberry, his Pro Football Focus numbers were in the green. Had an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 68.4, a coverage grade of 68.6. Passer rating allowed, not terrible, at 82.3. He had 2 interceptions, and if you think Slay played really good in 2022, he had the same amount of pass breakups, missing time this past year with 14 in the last 2 years. And again, it's really important to notice this and note this, is that with how bad the defensive scheme was, and Britton Covey, I know he doesn't play defense, but he did say, I think the changing in defensive coordinators really affected that side of the ball. Everybody looked bad. And Slay even said that the knee operation that he underwent with the arthroscopic knee surgery, it had been hurting him the last couple of years, and that was something that he needed to do to repair that knee. Yes, he's getting older. I don't think he's really shown that many signs of drastic decline. And with how he played in 2023, better defensive scheme in 2024, I'd keep Darius Slay as your cornerback number 1. With that, we round out with this. Which player did the Eagles need to cut? 4 cut candidates right there is the one that I didn't mention. And you want to hop in your over-the-cap Spotrac bag? Let me know down in the comments section by dropping me a name. And don't forget to subscribe to us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now.